2025 means new price increases across the board for our favorite brands. Let's see how the likes of Rolex, Tudor, JLC, Omega, IWC's price increases look like for 2025. For most of these brands, there isn't a single percentage increase that was applied across its entire range of watches, so I'm going to be cherry picking a little bit on the most popular models that each brand makes. Obviously, I can't get every single model in this one video, but I'm going to try to get one of every metal type and complication, as the increases are typically the same. So for example, if an IWC Spitfire went up by 2% year over year, then it's pretty safe to assume that an IWC Mark 20 Pilot also went up by 2%, as both of them are made in stainless steel and are time and dates only. Also for this video, I'm going to be using US dollars for pricing. A lot of you guys are watching from the States, but the main reason I'm doing this is because most of the citations and articles I was able to dig up was done in US dollars, and I don't want to have conversion rate get into the way of us understanding the price increases. Let's start with the IWC Mark 20 Pilot. As of January 2025, the watch is currently listed on their website for $5,250 USD. This is the same as 2024 and 2023 and 2022, which is the year of its release. The price has not gone up at all. This is actually one of the best kept secrets in the watches you can buy at retail in present day. IWC watches have not adjusted for inflation at all for the last 2-3 years. Now let's take a peek at one of the watches that was already way overpriced upon its release, the IWC Engineer 40. Released during March of 2023 as one of the headliners of Watches and Wonders, this watch came in black, white, and turquoise and originally retailed for $11,700 US. There's also a titanium version with a silver gray dial that retailed for $14,600 US. Keeping in the best interest for the people and probably for the brand, the prices have remained the same for 2025. I wanted to pick out a complicated watch without landing in the territory of complete unaffordability, so I've selected the IWC Portugiser with the white dial and rose gold indices. Honestly, I don't know too much about Portugisers as my wrist just can't sustain them, but IWC was thoughtful enough to let me know that this watch was the most iconic one on their website. Currently, it's being retailed for $7,950 US, which is the same as its launch pricing back in 2020 when it replaced the 3714. Now, it's been going around that the price of gold has seen a massive surge over the last couple of months. While IWC isn't the best known for their precious metal models, let's go see how those are doing in their catalog. The Portugiser 40, this time with a black dial and a gleaming 18-karat gold case. Now that's a watch I can get with. Its launch price was $18,500 USD as of April of 2024, and now it's going for only $17,600 on the website. That's almost a decrease of 5% since its launch. To make sure I was seeing this correctly, I also checked out the IW35A402, the baby blue dial with the white gold 18-karat case. It was priced at $19,500 USD upon its launch last year, and now it's on the website for $18,500. Good on you, IWC, for not price gouging like these rest of the brands are. Maybe I'll buy a Spitfire from the Vancouver boutique one day. Now let's check on Tudor. This one is quite close to home, as some of you guys may know. I still want that black dial FXD, as it still looks so good in my opinion. Let's start with that model first. The price was $4,150 USD back upon its release of September 2023. It's now retailing for $4,325 USD. That's an increase of around 4%, and it's still pretty reasonable for me to want to pick it up at retail. And the Black Bay 58, the same one that I've got, is currently going for $4,175 USD compared to the price last year of $4,000 USD flat. That's an increase of about 4.3%, a touch more than the FXD. Let's take a look at the Panda Black Bay Chrono. Currently priced at $5,775 US, it was being sold for $5,550 US last year. $5,550. That's about a 4% increase as well. I guess Tudor's price increases are pretty consistent across the board. Taking a look at gold, the 79018 Black Bay 58 with the full yellow gold bracelet was being retailed for $32,100 US last year. It's now $33,700 US for 2025. That's just shy of a 5% increase. Pretty respectable, everything considered. I'm not really sure how to feel. These price increases isn't urging me to hurry up and get that new Tudor before the year ends again, but it just makes buying them at retail that little bit more painful. For more dramatic price increases, let's look over to Jaeger LeCoultre. This brand is notoriously known for pushing its price limits to the absolute extent these past couple of years, making a lot of enthusiasts consider only used pieces. The price gap between new and used is really just too big, which really is a shame because in my opinion, they make some of the most beautiful and tasteful watches on the market today. Starting with an iconic model, the reversal monophase small seconds. It's currently retailing for $10,700 which is the same price as 2024. But don't be misled into thinking that the brand does not increase prices. Citing an article from Fratello Watches, the brand increased prices on the reversal from $9,100 back in 2022 to $13,100 in 2023. That's an increase of approximately 44%. The price increases have gotten so bad that they've been rumored to backtrack in certain regions. In fact, they've recently released a monophase tribute reversal with the white dial, which in my opinion is nicer looking than the original just without the small seconds, and it's being priced at only $8,900. That is still a lot of money, but just cheaper than what the standard lineup one is going for. Shooting for the stars next, let's take a look at the Master Control Calendar chronograph with a black dial and pink gold case. The watch launched in June of 2023 at a price of $32,500. It's now listed on the website for $33,300, which is a price increase of 2% across 2 years. Unfortunately, there is a lack of articles online showing the prices of some of these JLC watches in the previous years, so let's move on to our next brand. For our fourth brand, let's take a look at the price movements for Breitling. This is a brand that I still very much adore, but feel like there's not a watch in their catalog that suits me yet. The two models that came the closest to being in my consideration set were the Navitimer 41 and the Navitimer GMT 41, both of them released by Breitling in 2024. The Navitimer 41 launched at $5,600 on the bracelet, while the Navitimer 41 GMT launched at $6,200 on the bracelet. The prices on both of these models remain the same for January 2025. For a watch I quite like, but just unfortunately too big for me, is the Breitling Avenger B01 Chrono 44. This watch is 44mm across and sits at 15mm tall. It first released in 2023 at $8,250 on the bracelet, and is now available on the Breitling website for $8,550, an increase of 3.6%. Another watch I quite like from their current catalog is the Avenger Automatic 42. Only on the anthracite strap though, as I still can't wrap my head around why Breitling's bracelet are always slanted to the left. If you have a Breitling on a bracelet, let me know how you feel about it. Sometimes there's just these things about watches that we feel like would be a big deal, like for example the snowflake hand on my Tudors, until we actually get hands-on with them and start wearing them for a while. And I feel like these issues just tend to disappear. I wonder if it's the same for these Breitling bracelets. The Avenger Automatic 42 launched in 2023 at $4,600 on the strap. It's now being sold on the website for $4,750, an increase of 3.2%. Overall, I find Breitling's price increases to be very reasonable, especially since they're pretty fairly priced to begin with. From one brand making watches for sketchy dudes and espionage to another one made for commandos, let's move on to Panerai next. Panerai, unfortunately, is also one of those brands whose secondary market prices significantly deviate from their MSRP prices. While I'm a huge fan of their watches, its boom in the market was before my time, and from the little amount of research that I've done on the Luminors, I'm most likely to buy used instead of new.
It's toxic. It's sludge.
Starting off with my favorite watch in their current catalog, the Luminor Quaranta 40. This watch is currently listed on their website for $71,000. This is the exact same price as its launch price back in November of 2021. Another model I like to cover, this time in precious metal, is the Panerai Radiomir Quaranta Goldtech. Something about the prefix of Quaranta just always make these watches look so good. No idea what Quaranta means, but hopefully we get to see a Black Bay Quaranta this year. Anyways, the watch came out in 2023 Watches and Wonders for $18,200 and is now retailing for the exact same in 2025. It really is unfortunate because I think the brand makes some of the coolest and most unique watches in the market today. Hopefully sometime in the near future, the gap between the secondary prices and retail prices can get a little closer. I'm sensing a comeback on the horizon. I'm rooting for you, Panerai. And now onward to our second to last brand, Omegas. We're going to be looking at 5 of the most iconic watches in the current lineup, starting with the 42mm Moon watch. I know that's pretty vague considering how many iterations of the Moon watch there are, but trust me, that's still easier than referring to the watch by its reference number. This icon first launched in January 2021 at a price of $7,250 USD. As of January 2025, is now priced at $8,000 USD on their website. I wasn't able to really locate data points between this time period, and also Omega liked to sporadically increase prices throughout the year, not just limited to in January. However, all in all, across the 4 years, that's about an increase of 10.3% altogether, which is not too bad given inflation. Obviously, there's the argument how the new line of Speedmasters are pretty much double the prices of their predecessors, but that's a topic for another day. I will say though, if you're looking to commemorate a milestone or to leave your legacy on a piece of paper and eventually pass the watch down, you might just consider buying brand new. And the Moon watch, arguably one of the best watches for this purpose that you can actually walk into a store and buy today, is quite reasonable in its inflation. It's like letting you know to take your time. Over to a watch I'm undecided on, also a sapphire sandwich Moon watch, is the white dial Speedmaster that released last year. I think the white is cool, but the black just feels more timeless. The white dial released at a price of $8,100 US in 2024, and it remains at the same price on the website today. Rounding off the speedsters, we'll take a look at the Moon watch Professional with the olive dial and the moonshine gold case and bracelet. This watch is a beauty. Released during Watches and Wonders of 2023, it retailed at $34,800 US. I had to double check my region locator on Omega's website because this watch is now listed for $42,600 US. That's a 22% bump over 2 years. But then again, considering the John Mayer is now touching almost $70,000 US on the market, this Moon watch doesn't look like it's too bad of a deal. Speaking of, we'll come back to this humble Swiss watch brand later who held no punches to their price increases on gold watches this year. Onward to the next watch, let's take a look at the Omega Seamaster 300 Heritage that released during Watches and Wonders of 2021. This latest version of the Heritage 300 is the most identifiable by its lollipop seconds hand and also by its non-369 indices. Those shark tooth indices are now wider. The watch was priced at $6,500 USD upon its 2021 release, and now it's being sold on the website for $7,100 US. An increase of 9.2% across 4 years ain't too bad either. Seems like Omega is pretty reasonable when it comes to their steel models. It's literally 1 degree outside, so I'm back in my room. For our final icon, the Seamaster Diver 300, not the Heritage one. I hate how they name these things, by the way. First released in 2019 at a price of $4,850 US. It's now available on the Omega website for $5,900 US. That's about a 21% increase across 6 years, which boils down to about 3.5% per year. It's still lower than Tudor's inflation numbers, which makes sense to me because if you've ever felt the bezel action on one of these Diver 300s, let's just move on and summarize. Overall, Omega has been increasing prices on their models quite generously. Much like IWC though, they tend to price them high out the gate compared to their predecessors. But unlike IWC where the launch price is the permanent price, well, except in the case of the gold Portuguesers, Omega tends to like to inch their prices up just a little bit year after year to let you know, hey, if you don't buy this year, it's only gonna go up in the next year. In my opinion, I think this strategy can work quite well for brands with lots of heritage and legacy models, where people are naturally attracted to buying the watches brand new so they can have their names on the papers and to pass their legacies down. And speaking of brands with lots of iconic, heritage, legacy-worthy models in their catalog, let's move on to our last and final brand, Rolex. If you're seeing this, chances are you've probably already seen videos in the past month or so talking about Rolex price increases anywhere in the range of 4% to 7% to 14%. I'm here to let you know that Rolex price increases for 2025 are actually pretty tame unless you're in the market for a gold or two-tone piece. For steel and platinum models, with the exception of Daytonas, they went up by about 1 to 1.7%. For gold models, they went up by 11%, and for two-tone models, they went up in the range of 7 to 8%. For Daytonas, steel models went up by 2.6%, two-tone models by 9.6%, and for white gold, yellow gold, any solid gold models, they went up by a whopping 18.6%. The good news in all of this is that Platinum Daytona only went up by 0.9%, so pretty much the price of a Black Bay 58. Anyways, something that was unexpected is that the Explorer 36 in two-tone, released back in 2021 to lukewarm market responses, went up by a whopping 8.6% as well. Now, for something that hits a little closer to home, my beloved 126234 white gold bezel 36mm with the Jubilee bracelet and Wimbledon dial, I said that all the way backwards, went up by only 3.6%. Hey, that's not bad considering that there is a little bit of white gold on the bezel. I guess this is Rolex's middle point for watches that aren't necessarily two-tone but aren't necessarily steel. With this price increase, if they were to call me tomorrow for this watch, I would still 100% go out and buy it right away. Actually, if they were to hit me with that 18.5% yellow gold price increase, I would still 100% go out and buy this watch. So that is to say, I guess the price increases for Rolex doesn't really matter if the watch is already trading well above retail. Oh yeah, and my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 36 went up by a humble 1.6%. That's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on these price increases, and if there's a brand that I didn't cover, let us know in the comments below as well. Thank you for watching this video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.